Hey everybody, I'm Tim Cummings. Welcome to Flavors of East Brunswick, showcasing our diversity through cuisine. This show is co-sponsored by the Human Relations Council and East Brunswick Television. So we are making an awesome recipe. This is Maple-Cranberry baked brie. You're gonna love it. It's delicious. I'm not a great cook, but we're gonna do the best we can. For me, the Thanksgiving holiday is always about family, being together, sitting around the table or the countertop and just enjoying one another's company. So I remember growing up as a kid, we would have just this whole smorgasbord of awesome things to eat, and I thought that this was really aligned with something that would be on the table from my younger years. Last night I went out and purchased some of these amazing cranberries. You know, as my mother always said, when life gives you cranberries, make a maple cranberry baked brie. So this is going to be an awesome dish. It's wrapped in a pastry, which will soon be baked in the oven. So you're going to have that flaky outside and then that sort of warm, gooey brie inside, which should be really terrific. We've got some orange zest, we got some maple syrup, we got everything that you need to make this an awesome dish for your Thanksgiving holiday. When people are together around the table, they can sneak by, dip in, and keep moving. I really think you're going to enjoy this. I'm looking forward to making it with you. I'm not the greatest cook, believe it or not. Even though it looks like I know what I'm doing, I sort of don't. So I do follow recipes. I like to experiment every once in a while, but I think today we're going to make this really special. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We made it from one side of the kitchen to the other. We're here with all of our ingredients, and this is where the magic begins. So let's get this going, right? We have our cranberries. I wanted to show those off one more time, and actually, I don't do this often, but I actually might take a sample before we begin cooking. And I don't know if I've ever had a cranberry of this nature. Let's see how they taste. Yeah, very good. They're perfect for the recipe. So, we're gonna turn our heat on. Wow, that's a good cranberry. This is gonna be amazing. And we're gonna start to add the ingredients to the bowl. We're gonna start with the cranberries. That's 1 cup of cranberries going in there. And we're gonna keep this experiment happening. On top of the cranberries, we're gonna dump in a little bit of sugar. I think it's just about like 1/3 of a cup of sugar. So, you know, not too much. It's gonna help, we hope, address the tart of the cranberry. And you know, I think I probably should turn this heat down a little bit. Just given that. I got one of my favorite spoons here, which I use, you know, as much as possible. It's a nice spoon and it's perfect for this. In my hand here, I have some maple syrup, which is gonna be great. We got about 1/4 cup, I think, of maple syrup. We're gonna dump that in on top. And you can see that sort of drizzling in there. That's gonna help us as well, because I was kind of getting a little bit afraid that those cranberries and that sugar may stick to the bottom of the pan. We don't wanna burn it. So, we're moving in the right direction. Now, it's really important to start smashing this stuff. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I love having the spoon. It's perfect for that process. So, I gotta let it heat up a little bit more, but I am gonna start smashing these down and really make that kind of syrupy, liquid type finish. So that should be pretty awesome when it's moving, but I think I need a little bit more heat there too. We also have a couple more things to add to this, so I want to throw those in now as we go. Here I have about 1 teaspoon of orange zest. Now, my wife sometimes thinks I'm a little crazy. I sometimes like to add just a little bit more than what the recipe calls for. I don't know why, and I could be wrong, but we'll see at the end if it tastes any good. So that's 1 teaspoon of orange zest going in there. Right, I'm gonna mix that in. On top of that, we have a little bit of cornstarch. This is probably about 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. In fact, it's exactly 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. So I'm gonna dump that in as well. Let that simmer. I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit more now since we have you know, some more ingredients in here. And I do need to add as well some orange juice. So I was thinking about squeezing an orange into it and being really authentic, but I decided not to, and I picked up some Tropicana. Easy, quick solution. I think it will be okay. This does have some pulp, so those of you who don't like pulp, I don't know, you do have that option, but I like having a little bit of pulp in my juice. We're gonna put in 2 tablespoons. Let me make sure that that's right. Yep, 2 tablespoons of orange juice. I just missed the spoon there, but I think we'll be okay. And you can start to hear that sizzle a little bit, which is really cool. So the final ingredient that I'm gonna add here is just a pinch of salt. So I'm just gonna do a little drop, right? And that should do it for us, and we are good to go. So our concoction has begun, which is really exciting. We got everything that we need into this pot, and I'm gonna now start to really smash these cranberries. They're softening up a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit of a workout out of this, so that's okay too. But yeah, this is the exciting part where we really are turning this more into like a jelly-based substance. So I'm gonna work on that while we roll the tape here. And yeah, these cranberries, they're definitely not as firm as they were when they first went into the pot. So that's really, really exciting. So slowly just kind of breaking these up. I'm gonna need a hot mitt. Don't burn your hands, people. We don't want anyone to get hurt doing this, but you can see those cranberries start to slowly smash and kind of build into that form. So very cool and exciting, and looking forward to seeing how this turns out. So we are coming along. You're gonna keep this overheat for probably about 4 to 6 minutes, and you can see it's starting to really thicken. Got some nice boiling going on. Probably not too hot. I may want to turn it down a little bit, otherwise this pan's going to be pretty difficult to clean. But it really is kind of becoming that jam-like substance that we were hoping for. So that's exciting. I didn't actually know if I'd be able to pull it off, but it looks like I've succeeded so far. We're doing okay, which is great. Step 1, and we're soon to be moving on to step 2, so that'll be exciting too. But yeah, this smells pretty terrific, I would say. I'm excited. So the final step, which is very important, especially for all of you cinnamon lovers, I mean, what is better than cinnamon during the holiday season, is to add just a pinch of cinnamon after you cut the heat. So we're gonna turn off the heat. This is really, really a great substance right now. And we're gonna dump in just a little bit of cinnamon. Perfect. That always comes out a little quicker than I expect, but I think it'll be okay. Mixing that in. I'm gonna move it off of that hot stove area right there and just let it sit for, a good 5 minutes or so that it really becomes that jelly. And I wanna give you guys a quick look at what's going on there. That is pretty amazing. All right, people, we're back at the counter. We have finished the stove work, which is great. That actually only took a few minutes as well. So when you think about, having a crowd over and preparing and all the other busyness that goes into the holiday season, this is not a bad option. So keep that in mind. Our jam is sort of, doing its magic over there on the stove, and we are now gonna begin putting the final touches on this before we put it in the oven. So I'm gonna roll up my sleeves because I've already made a little bit of mess on myself, and anytime I work with flour, it gets worse. But we're gonna see what we can do. I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. My hands are clean. I did wash them just before this, so don't worry about that. But I always do advise to, wash your hands especially when I'm working with my kids. All right, we're gonna take a little bit of flour, and we need a lightly floured surface. So I'm just gonna use my countertop here to kind of get that ready and throw that on there. We have our countertops floured, which is great. Now, some of you, and the real experts out there, and I'd love to hear from you, are probably good at even just making the pastry yourself. I, however, bought one at the grocery store because I don't know what I'm doing. And I figured, you know what? If I want this to taste good, it's probably better that I don't have too much of a role in it, in terms of all those finer points. So what I want to do here is get this a little bit bigger. This, this comes in a nice sheet of pastry dough, just like that. And I just want to kind of use my roller and try to expand it a little bit because we're looking for like about a 10-inch square altogether. So I'm going to move that there, flip it real quickly, and get there. Now, I don't have a measuring tape with me. I don't know if some people tend to use those, but I think we can eyeball it and it'll be okay. So we roll that out. The surface is nice and floured, which is great. And I think you can see that. I don't know about you, I think it's about 10 inches. And you know what? If it's 9.5, that's okay too. All right, we're gonna take this pastry and we're gonna lay it onto a baking sheet. Wow, that actually worked out really well. I didn't expect that to happen. It almost fell right in the middle of the baking sheet, which is really cool. We have our pastry on the baking sheet. This is lined with parchment paper. It's probably gonna be a bit messy, so good idea to throw that down. The recipe does suggest it. I'll tell you, I love parchment paper. I use it probably more than I should, but it definitely saves on the cleanup. In my hand, I have a little bit of brie. This is 8 ounces of brie. I also picked this up at the store just the other evening, so this is good to go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this brie and we're gonna drop it right in the middle of this pastry. Okay, so let's unwrap the brie and get that going. I don't know about you all, I love brie. I know a lot of people who don't like brie, but I love brie, and it is such a tradition of the holidays for me and my family. So it's so nice. It brings me back so many memories of growing up in Ohio, and you know, so many people coming over and being together, and there was always a brie dish on the table. I think I'm gonna bring this one back when we go home this year. All right. Our brie is in the middle, and now we have to bring in that amazing jam that we had just made. So we're gonna head over to the stove to get our jam, our maple-cranberry jam, and bring that back here. And you can see that has done an amazing job. That's actually more impressive than I had anticipated, so I'm really happy about that. Let me actually like lift that up and show you. Oh, wow, that is cool. And you can actually see some steam coming out of that, so it's still warm. I mean, I'm tempted to just start eating this right away, but I think we probably should go through the whole process. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that jam and we're gonna drizzle it. And I wonder if I can do this so that it looks as great as it you know, looks here. But we're gonna start to drizzle this just over our brie mix. And it's gonna sort of fall on top of everything. And you can see it really nicely coming together, which is really exciting. So we got just about everything we could need out of that pan, and that looks pretty amazing. I mean, so far so good. This is great. So we got our jam on top of there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take each corner, we're gonna fold it in, you know, inch to half inch to an inch, and we're gonna wrap it up over the top of this, right? This is gonna add a little bit of, you know, sort of a nice decorative display too. What we wanna do is we wanna make sure that we leave a little bit of this exposed. So I'm actually folding this more than twice. And you can see all that heat is sort of taking off too, which is great. And we're gonna pull this up and look at that. All right, we just heard the beep of the oven. The timing is perfect. That's really exciting. So I've got an egg, sort of a lightly beaten egg that I you know, have here in this bowl. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of just brush this around all of the dough that is exposed. So we wanna really get this onto the dough. I truthfully have no idea what this is gonna do to the baking process, but we're just gonna see what happens anyway. So the recipe calls for it. I would assume, you know, with my limited baking skills, that this will maybe give this more of like a shiny finish, maybe a crispy finish. I'm not exactly sure, but I just do what I'm told when I read these recipes. So let's layer this on. And you can kind of see us just getting as much of that egg onto that as possible. I'm trying to keep it out of the middle there. This almost looks like a science experiment that one of my kids did for science class. It's kind of starting to look like a volcano a little bit, but all right, let's keep this going. And it says to cover it generously, so I really am trying to do that. I'm trying to hit all of these edges. We're in the final stage and Abby has awoken. She's come to help us for our final component. Abby, are you ready? I think she's waiting for something at the end of this as well. So we'll have to see if Abby likes brie. The final step, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar on top of this. You know, you don't have to add the sugar, but why not? So we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar, not much. It doesn't really need a whole lot, but I do think it'll kind of add some sweet elements to it. And you know, who doesn't love brown sugar? We're ready. I'm gonna walk this over to the oven, throw it in. It's at 425 and it cooks for about 25 to 30 minutes. So let's get it in there so we can really get ready to enjoy this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the 25 minutes has passed. I'm very excited. A little anxious, but you know, hopefully this turned out okay. So just to let everybody know, when we had about 10 minutes left, we did end up taking some tin foil and tenting the pastry was getting a little brown, so we wanted to make sure that we didn't crisp that too much. We also turned it at one point in the oven. I think that they helped. I think it was the good move, so let's see how it looks. Let's take it out of the oven. We'll turn it off. It's been cooking for 25 minutes, so we didn't have to go to that 30-minute threshold. I think this is the perfect amount of time. Oh, nice and hot in there. Ready? Wow, look at that. It looks amazing. Wow, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, you can definitely see along some of the edges where that egg, I may have put a little bit too much, but still, this looks pretty good. It's not too brown. I'm sure it's plenty hot, and I would assume that the brie inside of there is just waiting to be cut into. So let's see what we can do. I'm gonna try to pull off a maneuver from the baking sheet here onto my cutting board. So if I can make this happen, and yeah, I think this is gonna be pretty smooth. We are good to go. Yes, look at that. We are ready to enjoy this amazing dish. I've got some crackers. We do have one final step, so I want to share that. And you know, you saw me add a little bit of the brown sugar at the end. Now we're gonna add a little bit of maple syrup. So the recipe calls for just a drizzle on top. I'm gonna try to be as steady as possible so that this doesn't dump all over the place, but I do want to add just a little drizzle on top. And I think that's probably just enough. I don't want to go too crazy there. Some people may not like it. You don't have to do it, but we had plenty of maple syrup, so we thought we'd take their advice. We are ready to cut open this thing and enjoy. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we are there. It's the moment of truth. I'm really excited about this. I hope that it meets all of our expectations. I do want to say before I cut into this, this was a really easy recipe for a guy like me to pull off. So if this is good, it's going to make me look like a rock star, and I'm really excited. We also have to get to this before anybody else comes in and steals it. So I'm going to take my knife here. I do have some multi-grain crackers here. Obviously there's like a million different options that you could put with this, but for the sake of this video and today, we have some multi-grain crackers here. Let's cut into it and see how it looks. Definitely that flaky crust. That's good. Oh boy, and I think it's exactly what we wanted in the middle. Let me try to separate this a little, and oh yes, you can actually even see some of the brie sort of oozing out. That's perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I'm so excited about this. Wow, this is cool. So I don't even know where to begin, to be quite honest with you. I may just sort of, you know, try to take a little section off here, and I think I'll just run my cracker through that and see how it tastes. I'm really hope this meets my expectations. Look at that. We've got the brie, we've got the jam mix, and then we have some of the pastry shell on top there. This is gonna be awesome. You're definitely gonna wanna have a napkin as well because, you know, this is one of those kind of sloppy dishes. So let's see how it tastes. Wow, that is awesome. You know what? That totally takes me back to the holidays. I really just have this feeling of family, togetherness. This is really exciting. I'm definitely gonna do this again, and I really encourage people to try it as well. This has been so much fun. Thank you for coming and joining me in the kitchen here, and happy holidays to all of you. Please continue to be safe and remain healthy. We wish you all the best. Thanks so much.